Hallo, herzlich willkommen zur 15. Folge von Suzerain zusammen mit Apfel.
Hallo.
Heute haben wir ein Briefing vom Reformkomitee. I came a little early to the meeting room before anybody showed up. We had scheduled a meeting to discuss the progress of the Reform Committee regarding the new constitution. I took a seat on the center chair in the vacant meeting room as I waited for them to show up. The reforms were slowly becoming the most significant expectation of my government. We would be changing Sol's constitution of 29. Most people nowadays blame the constitution for the outstanding problems of the country. On the other hand, the reformists in the assembly had been getting louder about their demands. What I knew for sure was that I needed to do something about this encroaching chaos before it swallowed me. Meanwhile, Lucian, Peter, and Nia had been leading the committee to prepare an initial draft for the constitutional amendments. I was intrigued to hear their results. There was a knock on the door. It was Lucian.
Wieder nur du hier, oder was?
Good afternoon, sir. Lucian arrived exactly on the hour mark again. His punctuality could almost be described as obsessive. 2.
Jo.
Are you waiting behind the door to come at the exact second? I'm sorry, sir.
Geil.
You seem to be arriving at the exact second for all the meetings.
Ist schon mal besser als Peter.
Punctuality is important for me, sir. I'm just doing my job. He took a seat on the table and took out a bunch of documents, spreading them on the long table. We should begin the meeting as soon as Miss Morgner and Mr. Vice President arrive. Ich finde schön, dass er nicht mehr seinen Nachnamen sagt. Arrives. We finally have some results from the Reform Committee. How does it look? Wie ist es sehend?
Wie ist das sehend?
Well, the situation is quite complicated, but I'm sure we will make it work. Just like we accomplished many things before. Was? We'll go over the details regarding the new constitution in the meeting. A few minutes later, Peter and Nia also arrived. After a short chat, everybody sat down and took out their notes. I knew it was going to be a long meeting.
Ooh. There's a lot to talk about the future of this process. Let us begin to tackle the points of contention.
Du hast zu schnell aufgehört mit Lesen, ich war gar nicht auf dem Bildschirm, ich dachte, du bist schon fertig. Nia warst auch du.
Ja. I've heard from Mr. Glade that you are not intending to support the democratic reforms. Gott, was habe ich denn heute?
Gott, was haben wir denn gesagt? Wann haben wir das gesagt?
Ich verstehe es auch gut nicht. Our committee meetings have been really fruitful and we already started on the constitutional draft together with the feedback from all the political parties. Hey, wann hätten wir das Ding gesagt? Wäre das fucking Glade gewesen. We're making clear progress here. You wouldn't really block our hard work, would you? Kannst du mal kurz auf Mr. Glade gehen?
Das ist Lucian.
Ach so!
Wait,
hä? Wann haben wir das gesagt? Jetzt bin ich noch mehr verwirrt.
A final decision hasn't been made yet. She leaned slightly towards me.
This is our once-in-a-lifetime chance to change the constitution of Tarkin Sol, Mr. President. We worked hard to create a draft together with the leaders of our party and the opposition. Nothing else is more important for Swordland.
Thanks for the advice, Mrs. Morgner. Ja, 1. Sind wir
Ja.
mal ein bisschen auf Stress aus. Peter cut in before Nia could speak.
If I may continue, Mr. President, we've discussed the possibilities of your intentions with Mr. Galate.
We already know that the old guards would block any reforms to the Constitution, so they would definitely want to work with you to preserve it. If that's still what you want to do.
I can't believe you are supporting this too.
Lucian.
Nia war aber auch immer gegen uns, kann es sein?
Weiß ich nicht mehr. I do not. I have already explained, Mr. President, my position on working with the old guards.
Huh. Drei ist so desperate, Digga. Ja, how about you, Peter? Ich will nicht wissen, was er dazu sagt. I think we can figure something out. Ja, danke. We can call a meeting with Orso Hawker. We are not here to destroy the legacy of Tarkin Sol. Why not work with them?
I just do not trust the Chief Justice in delivering any promises. I'm afraid that ignoring the demands for reform might create some future problems for our administration.
Excuse me, gentlemen, the reforms are not just some problem. They are absolutely necessary to democratize this country. With all due respect, I have to say that I feel disappointed. I thought this administration was going to bring real change. It seems Solism still lives on.
Ich habe meine Faust gehoben. Watch your words, Mrs. Morgner. Solism will never die. I'm disappointed in you, Mrs. Morgner. So, what do you suggest we do?
3 ist so dieses Kindergarten-Ding. Du bist dumm. Nein, du bist dumm.
Ja. Well,
Geil.
we've got a point.
Ja. Ja.
Wir haben halt alle gegen uns, ne? Also irgendwie außer Peter so halt.
Was genau nochmal?
Es ging halt darum, ob wir auf Sols Seite sind oder nicht.
Haben wir irgendwie eine Entscheidung getroffen und uns dagegen stellt?
Wir haben Sol gewählt.
Ja, damals!
Damals, ja.
Aber warum sagt die, was will die jetzt hier?
Ja, keine Ahnung, so do you suggest we do?
Dumme Sau. Work with the reformists on writing a more democratic constitution for Swordland. Change cannot be stopped. Oh, doch.
Oh, doch, das haben wir letztes Mal hart erfahren müssen.
Ich weiß, welche Entscheidung das war. Die war aber relativ weit vorne. Naja. Maybe we can first go over the draft of the amendments that the committee prepared for reforms. You do not have to approve it.
You too? I've heard the security reports. Now is not the time for reform. Fine, let's hear it.
Ich dachte mir jetzt so, was will denn jetzt mit YouTube? Ja, let's hear it. Mein Gott. Sind aber auch alle stur hier.
Of course. We'll go through each of the main demands of the committee and get your input. Miss Morgana can explain them further. We'll start with the first, red line. The new constitution will fix the loopholes regarding the president's absolute veto powers.
Even though Mr. Richter put on a whole show about why vetoes should completely be removed, the committee has almost unambitiously agreed on fixing the loopholes, thus limiting presidential vetoes. Verdammt. My suggestion is to add a clause detailing the methods the Assembly may override a veto with some sort of a supermajority. One person should never be able to block the rest. True.
Waren wir nicht das letzte Mal voll für unser Vetorecht und wollten es nicht aufgeben? Hat vielleicht daran gescheitert?
Ja.
Ja, 2. Wir sollen die nicht ganz entfernen, sondern ihren Vorschlag, der ist in Ordnung.
Ja, ja, sie hat recht. Whatever you decide, it's important to get a balanced picture. We will be making history by changing the 29 Constitution of
Ja, wir
Seoul.
machen definitiv Historie.
Ja, natürlich.
The second one is about the judiciary. Judikative.
Ich wollte gerade sagen,
The new constitution will remove the Supreme Court's right to vote on legislation.
This is yet another point that was unambiguously agreed on by all parties. Tarkin Sol established this rule to protect his 29 constitution. We all know most of the judges are still his pawns. Ist er nicht tot?
Nein, der lebt noch!
Ah. Constitution amendments will still be very difficult to accomplish with a reform like this. Particularly because we will keep the 2/3 vote system to be able to propose a change. However, the judiciary will not have the final say in the amendments.
Ich hasse dieses Wort.
Echt so.
This is already what we wanted to do. I can't disagree with that. We need a court to even pass this change. Why would they support this? Ja, 3. Wieso sollten die dafür stimmen?
Ja. Judiciary. Was? Judiciary. Boah,
Das ist das Scheißwort.
Most of them won't, but we already talked about my vote in a possible agreement with Isabel, which may change things.
Oh, Isabel.
Yeah. Apart from these two critical points, they have other major demands. They want to reform the appointment procedures of the ministers. Mr. Richter clarified that the Assembly should have a say in the formation of the Council of Ministers. That is something that a majority in our party also supports. Da können wir nicht dagegen gehen. Well, Mr. Richter also talked about abolishing the Member of Honor rights of Tarkin Sol that gives him absolute immunity and makes him a permanent member of the Assembly. Okay.
Schwierig.
Well, that one is a controversial one. Adopted. USP would like that.
Immunity of the justice, the impeachment of the president, limiting the power of the presidential decrees. All of this came up during the committee meeting.
Yes, reformists expect big reforms, while our faction in the USP are not very keen on pushing changes that are too great. I'd say keeping everything in the middle ground is the safest bet. No need to agitate anyone too much.
I disagree. We'll push for comprehensive reforms. I agree. Let's keep the changes small and manageable. They have valid concerns that we need to look at. Ja, ich bin voll bei Peter.
Ja. As long as we address the main issues, I also agree. Well, regardless of what Mr. Rainey decides, we will need to work together to push this agenda.
Danke!
Good
No.
man!
Now we should wrap this up. Since we evaluated the points, I'd like to hear your input, sir. Ja, wir supporten.
Ja.
Wir müssen.
That's great to hear, Mr. President. I present your input to the committee. In a few months, you would have the draft on your desk to make the final changes yourself.
I think this was yet another fruitful meeting, sir. Ja, 4.
Ja.
Thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you, Anton. You have my support, Mr. President.
Ja, die haben einfach nicht so angehört. I think this is where we'll call it. So, have a good day. They left the room. Ja, nice. Und haben wir die nächste Folge. Nur... Oh, fuck, also.
Okay.
Gut, dann war's so mit der Folge. Lasst ein Like und ein Abo, wenn es euch gefallen hat. Schaut beim nächsten Mal wieder vorbei und tschüss.
Tschüss.